Batman News Weekly. What's going on, everybody? I am your host, Juice Wayne, and in this week's episode, we're talking about even more villains in the Matt Reeves Batman movie, the future of Batman and Tom King at DC Comics, and Harley Quinn, because she is basically the DC Universe now, and a whole bunch of other Batman news that is going around the internet. If you guys want to jump to any particular story, I will have the timestamps in the comment sections down below. But before we do that, please, if you are enjoying the content on this channel, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to join the BATfromtheBOX family. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into this, because the first thing I want to talk about is kind of an update to a video that I made on this channel where I talk about Tom King was leaving the Batman title. He was leaving about 15 to 20 issues before his whole run was going to be done. He had this big, huge storyline that he was moving towards, but it seemed like DC was going to go ahead and cut that short, and he wasn't going to be able to finish his story. But since then, we have had this huge update of the future of the Batman comic book and the future of Tom King as the Batman writer, and it turns out that it looks like everybody's gonna kind of get what they want in this situation. What I mean by that is, if you are someone that does not like Tom King's writing, you don't like his Batman run, well, he is no longer gonna be on the main Batman title. It is gonna go to a new creative team. I don't know who it is, they haven't announced that yet. I do have a theory on it, and some people might not like that, but I do kind of want to put that to another video because I have a lot of thoughts on it. Now, if you're on the other side of people that actually like Tom King's writing and you wanted to see his story finished, it looks like you're going to be able to get that in a new book called Batman Catwoman that is going to be a 12-issue maxi series that DC is going to be putting out alongside the Batman run. One of the biggest things that I should mention is Batman is no longer going to be bi-weekly, which it is currently right now. You get 2 issues of Batman per month alongside of every other title that Batman is in. But the main Batman title is 2 issues per month. DC is doing away with that, and there's only going to be 1 Batman title per month with a new creative team, and Tom King is going to finish his story in another Batman book that will be coming out once a month. So you're still kind of getting 2 Batman books, they're just going to be titled differently. Tom King recently did an interview with Entertainment Weekly talking about issue 75, which is going to be the reunion of Batman and Catwoman. This is something a lot of people have been waiting for since issue 50, where she left him at the altar. A lot has happened in that time. Batman has constantly fallen down this darker and darker path, and people want to see if he's going to start coming out of it, and apparently this issue is going to have all the answers you want. Now, in this article with Entertainment Weekly, Tom King does say why this change is happening. He says that DC saw that he's been working on a bunch of other things alongside Batman, and they thought it was just going to be a little bit too much for him. Side note, I don't think that is probably 100% the truth. I'm pretty sure DC wanted to make a change, but they were just like, oh, let's do PR purposes, let's spin it in a right way. It could be 100% true, but I think they're kind of just spinning this in a nicer way. Anyways, Tom King is working on some TV and movie stuff, and he said that DC thought it was going to be too much for him, so they wanted to put him on his book over here and start the title going monthly with a new creative team. There's no information on the TV show he's working on, but the movie that he is going to be working on, he's co-writing the New Gods movie with Ava DuVernay, and that is really freaking awesome in my opinion, because if you haven't read his Mr. Miracle run, I think that thing is fantastic. And if he's going to be covering the New Gods, holy crap, I think this is going to be really awesome. Ava has shown that she is somebody that does actually love the New Gods, and she loves comic books. So I think that movie is going to be really awesome to have an actual comic book writer on a DCU movie. Speaking of movies, if you are somebody that loves owning the physical copy of them and you are planning on buying Batman Hush, the animated movies, you're in luck because it is getting released 1 week earlier than it normally was scheduled. That is right, the Blu-ray and 4K release date for Batman Hush has been moved up to August 6th. If you want the digital release like myself, because I'm just kind of tired of having a bunch of DVDs lying all over the place, that is still coming out July 20th. Moving on to one of the more shocking bits of news that has happened this year is Warner Brothers, the people that own DC Comics, are not going to be having a panel at San Diego Comic-Con this year in the Hall H Auditorium, which is where they usually drop a bunch of trailers for the upcoming DC movies and any other larger properties that they have. This actually caught me by surprise, because when you have Joker coming out in October, when you have Birds of Prey coming out in February, and then Wonder Woman coming out in June of next year, all before the next San Diego Comic-Con, you would think that Comic-Con is going to be the place where they're going to release a lot of this cool stuff. Apparently, WB says that none none of that stuff is ready, and they're just gonna go ahead and skip San Diego Comic-Con and release this stuff later on. But you don't have to be all down that you won't be getting a whole bunch of DC news during Comic-Con, because it seems like Todd Phillips has released a new photo from the Joker movie that will be out in October, and I have to say it does look pretty awesome, because we are seeing right here Joaquin Phoenix is putting on what is more than likely the Joker face paint for the first time, but we have seen him in other clown outfits during the trailer, so he could be putting that on as well. But either way, this photo itself looks pretty awesome, because it kind of shows 3 different people in this. If you're looking at the mirrors, although we only see 2 faces, you see his body there. Could this be a hint at the 3 Jokers kind of thing that everybody loves to talk about? Which I'm still waiting on that story, Jeff Johns. I hope it's good. I know it's gonna be good because it's you. Moving on from Joker to the girl he loves to torment, Harley Quinn, we got some very interesting information from Margot Robbie, aka Harley Quinn herself, about the upcoming Birds of Prey movie. I think I said Birds in Prey, but I meant Birds of Prey. According to Robbie, the production budget for Birds of Prey was $75 million, and it is the biggest her production company, Lucky Chap, has ever dealt with. She was quoted saying, "We're on schedule and on budget, which is a wonderful place to be." Now that's pretty interesting that this budget is only $75 million, which I think is actually pretty cool, and I think it's the way DC is trying to go right now. They want to just make superhero movies or comic book movies with very low budgets. And if you're dealing with stuff in the DC universe, or I should say specifically the Batman universe, you don't really need huge budgets for these movies, because Batman is in itself just a vigilante. He's a guy in a costume. He doesn't have superpowers. He's not blowing up buildings with his fists or anything like that. So you don't need to have these crazy budgets. You can have these awesome, cool, grounded stories that don't cost as much, and they more than likely make triple or quadruple their production budgets, which is kind of what Shazam did. A lot of people are saying Shazam flopped because it only made $300 plus or $400 million, but it only cost $90. I wish it only cost $90 to make it. It only cost $90 million to make, which is a hit in my opinion, because it's made triple that. The next thing in this article I feel like is going to upset people for no particular reason, but I just know some people out there are going to be like, "Oh, I can't believe she said that. I don't want to see this movie at all." According to the article, the interviewer mentioned how the costumes in Suicide Squad are very different from the ones in Birds of Prey. And it was said from the costume designer, that's what happens when you have a female producer, director, and writer. Margot Robbie added, "Yeah, they're definitely less male-gazy." And that's all she said, and that's something you could definitely tell. I mean, in Suicide Squad, she's wearing the short shorts, and you can say that's comic book accurate, although I felt like the comic book started reflecting that after the fact. But yeah, in this one it's more like fashion centric. Harley Quinn is still wearing a whole bunch of stuff, but you can tell it's less booty shorts and more just kind of like longer pants kind of fashion stuff, which I have no issue with. If Harley Quinn wears that kind of stuff, I have no issue with it. I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, that's not how the comic books are, blah 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 blah." Personally, if we were going to be comic book accurate here, I want the old school Jester costume where she's fully clothed. I think that thing was awesome. Moving over from Harley Quinn in the movies to Harley Quinn in the comic books, she's getting all of the books right now, ladies and gentlemen. She is going to be getting a new book in the DC Black Label section, which is called Harleen, and is going to be a retelling of her origin. Now, before you freak out, for those of you that don't read comic books or don't know anything about DC Black Label, these are non-continuity books. They're considered Elseworld books. They're just different stories that are happening with these characters. They're not part of main continuity, so it just kind of gives creative freedom to the people writing them. So they're going to tell a new version of Harley Quinn's origin in this book. On top of that book, she's getting another DC Black Label book that is called Joker, Harley, Criminal Insanity. According to this article, this is what the book will be about. Harleen Quinzel is given a bit more agency as she's reimagined as a forensic psychiatrist profiler called in by Gotham City Police Department to help stop a serial killer known as the Joker. Now, this story does sound kind of cool because it seems like it's going to be more of a detective story where Harley Quinn's trying to help the police figure out the Joker, and maybe she will fall in love with him, maybe she won't, but either way, it's a different story of her. Instead of her just falling in love with Joker at Arkham Asylum, this one might be a little bit more exciting, which I think is pretty cool. And lastly, for those of you that love Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn together, they are getting their own mini-series that is spinning out of Heroes in Crisis. If you didn't read Heroes in Crisis, spoiler alert right now, but Poison Ivy totally died in that book and was reborn, and she is now more of part of the Green. I want to say she's fully born. She's more like Swamp Thing now, kind of. She is part of the Green, and she is no longer the human Ivy. She is the fully blown Green Ivy. So like I said, this is going to take place after Heroes in Crisis. So in this book, you can expect both Harley Quinn and Ivy to kind of be dealing with everything post Sanctuary and just kind of getting to know each other again, or just seeing where their friendship goes, or love interest. I don't know what they're going to be doing in this book, because it does say friendship in this thing, but we always know that both of these characters have always loved each other. They've always had something for each other. So maybe we'll get more of that in this book as well. Now moving on to the last bit of Batman news, and that is even more villains are coming to Matt Reeves' The Batman movie. If you saw my last video, I talked about 4 of the villains that have been announced over from an exclusive on Geeks Worldwide. Catwoman, Firefly, Penguin, and Riddler all had casting breakdowns, and it turns out there are 2 more people from Discussing Films. They have said that Two-Face and Mad Hatter are also being eyed to be in this movie. That comes to 6 different villains already in this movie, and I know a lot of people are freaking out and be like, oh, what about Spider-Man 3 and blah 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 blah. Well, 1, Spider-Man 3 was trash, and 2, Matt Reeves I think is a way better director and knows how to deal with a whole bunch of different characters, and plus not every one of these characters needs to be reintroduced or introduced for the first time or has to have an origin story or anything like that. This Batman movie is supposed to be Batman at in his heyday, in his top of his peak prime, and he might have a Robin. That's a possibility too. But this movie being a detective story could have Matt Reeves' Batman going through each one of these characters looking for information to find whoever the main character in this movie is going to be. He can go to Catwoman to try to get information. He can go to Penguin. He can go to all these characters and beat the hell out of them. Be like, yo, give me my information, bitch. And for me, I'm all for that because that's exactly what he does in the comic books. And Matt Reeves says that he wants to make the most comic book accurate Batman to date. And I'm totally for this. I mean, especially if you're going to bring in Two-Face and Mad Hatter. Like, one, Gotham's Mad Hatter was actually something I really enjoyed about that show, although I did talk so much mess about it. I always enjoyed the Mad Hatter in that show, and if you're going to bring a Mad Hatter to the big screen, totally all for it. I'm not too sure who I would want to be Mad Hatter, although the first person that pops into my mind is Jackie Earle Haley. He's the guy that played Rorschach in Watchmen or the Freddy Krueger. I think he might be a real creepy Mad Hatter. And for Two-Face, how about giving me Oscar Isaac? I think Oscar Isaac might be a pretty badass Two-Face as well. But yeah, what do you guys think? Or who do you guys think should play those 2 characters in the Matt Reeves movie? Hopefully I was able to bring you guys some information you didn't know about. But before you get out of here, I want to ask you guys 2 questions. One being, what do you guys want to see in Batman News Weekly? Are you cool with the way the content is happening right now? Would you want to know more about the collectibles and stuff that is coming out? Maybe more of the figures or video games, kind of stuff like that. Of course, when the video game news happens, I will promote that, but it doesn't come out very often. But let me know what other kind of Batman news. Remember, this is the Batman and the Batman universe. Let me know what other kind of information do you want. Do you want me to give my opinions, quick opinions on maybe shows or things that come out with Batman in them, like Batman TMNT? I could give quick ideas or quick thoughts on those kind of movies. If you should watch them or not, let me know what you want to see in Batman News Weekly. And I will say, yes, I'm pretty sure you guys want a set day for Batman News Weekly. I'm trying to figure that out. Sometimes it's hard because the information doesn't come in as fast as I want to make a solid episode. The second question is, what video would you like to see next? Do you want to see a video on the possible next Batman writer for the comic book? A video talking about Matt Reeves' trilogy fitting into the DCEU? Or a video talking about how the Snyderverse is being erased from current DCEU continuity? Let me know your thoughts on the next video in the comment sections down below. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. But as always, I'm your host, Juicebox, and remember, Batman is awesome. See you guys next time. Bye!